I come to the floor having just listened to the minority leader of the Senate come to the floor and listen to what he had to say. You know, it's been 10 weeks now, Mr. President, that Republicans have been in the majority and the Democrats have been in the minority after the historic victory in November. The contrast is pretty significant. Senate Republicans made promises to the American people, promised to get the country back on track. We're keeping that promise. We are hitting the ground running, and we're not turning back. Most importantly, for our successes, it has been because Republicans have remained united. As a result, we have a list of accomplishments, as opposed to what we just heard the minority leader talk about. First, the Senate has now confirmed all 21 members of President Trump's cabinet. And we did it at a record pace. Faster pace than the Democrats were able to do for President Obama in 2009, faster than they were able to do it for President Biden in 2021. The pace with which Republicans have confirmed President Trump's nominees to the cabinet, and as Politico pointed out today, all completed before the Senate has taken a break. That's where we are today, historic speed. With this team in place early, President Trump is able to execute effectively and efficiently the popular agenda for which he was elected. The Senate has prioritized confirming the president's national security team. You know, we saw horrific attacks in New Orleans, New Year's, continue to see chaos around the world. We need a national security team in place, and we prioritize that, and we've done it. The Senate also passed the Laken Riley Act. It's now law, signed by the President. It is the first significant piece of immigration enforcement law signed in decades, and just in the first number of weeks. It's actually the first bill that President Trump signed into law as the 47th President of the United States. It's going to save lives. It's going to prevent human tragedy like we saw happen in Georgia to that young nursing student. I'm very grateful to Senator Katie Britt of Alabama and Senator Ted Budd of North Carolina for their leadership in finding the bipartisan way to get this bill passed. We've also focused on our shared agenda with the House and with the President. We moved quickly to pass a budget that's focused on border security, energy security for our nation, as well as America peace through strength. Budget Committee Lindsey Graham, who was chairman of the committee, and his members of committees did groundbreaking work, all focused on making America stronger and better, more secure. Senate Republicans are working with the House on a path forward now, and working closely with Senator Mike Crapo of the Finance Committee, who's leading the charge to make sure we're not facing a $4 trillion tax increase, is what the Democrats want. They want Americans to suffer the pain of $4 trillion in additional taxes. This is very important work to keep taxes low for hardworking families and continue to stimulate the economy. I heard a lot from the minority leader about 5 minutes ago. He was talking about the future of Medicaid and of Medicare, and I'm a doctor. I work closely with patients on all of those programs. But what I heard Senator Schumer do as he stood right there, it sounded to me like he is threatening to shut down the government. He sounds like somebody who's going to tell his members, vote against keeping the government open. We are so distraught that the fact that President Trump has been elected, so mad at the voters because they elected a Republican House and a Republican Senate, as well as sent President Trump back to the White House, that we just want to say, the heck with you, we're going to shut down the government. It costs money to shut down the government. It costs money to reopen the government. It impacts services for the American people. Democrats are so mad. You saw it the last week when the president made his speech to Congress, to the joint session, his address to the nation. The way they acted during that statement by the commander-in-chief, those are people that are just mad at the voters. The American public liked what the president had to say that night. Overwhelmingly, those that saw the speech saw it as very positive, happy with the direction of the country, happy with the leadership of the president. Feel he's focused, he's forceful, he's effective, energetic, getting the job done. It's not what we hear. That's not what I heard from the Senate Minority Leader just a few minutes ago. Sounded like somebody that's going to command the troops, hey, shut down the government because we're mad and we're going to take it out on the American people. Well, let me set the record straight, because Republicans support Medicaid. Republicans support Medicare. Just the other night, we passed Senator Dan Sullivan's amendment to protect and to preserve Medicaid and Medicare. Not a single Democrat joined us. These programs are in trouble today. Why? Because of the previous administration. Joe Biden weakened them by making them available for scammers. And that's what's happened. People are sucking money out of these programs who don't deserve to be doing it and are taking the care needed from hardworking American families. Republicans want to protect and preserve and strengthen Medicare and Medicaid. We want to do it for the people these vital programs were originally intended for, not for the scammers. Stopping scamming is a big part of this. Additionally, when I take a look at some of the things we've done over the last several weeks, Mr. President, is that we have reaffirmed our friendship with Israel. Intelligence Committee Chairman Tom Cotton of Arkansas, Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Jim Risch of Idaho, they introduced bipartisan legislation to impose severe sanctions on something called the International Criminal Court. It's an illegitimate kangaroo court that targets Israel and does the bidding of Iran. Sanctioning the ICC would have sent a very strong message to the world. The message, of course, being America stands with Israel. Senate Democrats filibustered it. 45 Democrat senators chose to abandon our closest ally. Senate Republicans also successfully blocked destructive Democrat legislation attacking American energy production. Democrats actually tried to reverse President Trump's national energy emergency. America clearly faces an energy emergency. Energy prices went up 31% during the last 4 years under the Democrats' administration of punishing American energy. Well, led by Chairman Mike Lee from Utah, Republicans are taking the handcuffs off of American energy. Look, we know that unleashing American energy will help kickstart our economy. Senate Republicans also voted to protect girls and women in sports. Senator Coach Tommy Tuberville of Alabama has been a champion of women's sports in the Senate. His legislation was common sense to over 80% of Americans. It said biological men should not be allowed to compete in women's sports against our daughters, our sisters. Simple as that. Democrats filibustered it. They are completely out of touch with the American people, the Democrats are, and they are putting our female athletes in harm's way. Senate Republicans also have erased some burdensome Biden regulations. We're cutting through the red tape, cutting red tape most significantly on American energy production. At the same time, we're also protecting America's financial freedom. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana led efforts to end a Biden regulation on energy production in the Gulf of America. Senator John Hoeven of North Dakota led efforts to cut $7 billion in natural gas taxes on our energy producers. Senator Pete Ricketts of Nebraska led the efforts to rein in unaccountable bureaucrats from snooping in your digital wallet. Democrats wanted to spy on everything you buy or do on Apple Pay, on Venmo, Zelle, with other apps. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas led efforts to push back against IRS attacks on cryptocurrency. Each of these resolutions passed the Senate in spite of Democrat opposition. By reversing these heavy-handed rules, Republicans are making life more affordable for American families. And this week, the Senate is moving to pass life-saving legislation. It's called the Halt Fentanyl Act. 70,000 Americans are poisoned or killed by illicit fentanyl each year in the United States. It's the #1 killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. The Halt Fentanyl Act will aid efforts to crack down on drug dealers and criminal cartels that smuggle the poison into our country and into our communities. I'm grateful that Leader Thune is putting this bipartisan legislation up for a vote. Mr. President, you can sum up these early weeks of the Republican-led Senate in 3 words: fast, forceful, and effective. We weren't wasting time. We're not wasting time. We're just getting started. Working together, Republicans are going to deliver for the American people.